Good afternoon and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs in the info box below this video, and if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. Simply click on that link with your watch page muted to join the debate live. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected and you will be warmly welcomed back on the next show. So please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. With that, I will in a moment transition across to my photograph so I can share the show on Facebook, Twitter and Skype, and I would encourage anybody who is in the audience to do exactly the same. Once again, if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. So I've just finished sharing the show on Skype, Facebook, G+, Twitter, and as I say, I would encourage anybody who is currently in the live chat to share the show also on the social media platforms that are available to you. Again, if you'd like to join the show, there is a link in the info box in the video below, in the info box below this video, and if you were to join currently, there would be nobody to oppose your views, so you'd be able to express them entirely unopposed. That will obviously change as the show progresses and more people join, but for the time being at least, if you did join now, you'd be able to express your views on the shape of the Earth without any interruption from me or anybody else. So feel free to click on that link. Also, share that link if you would like to pass it on to anybody to get them to join the show live. Feel free to share the link that is in the info box below this video, and indeed click on the share button, which is to share the view page, the page that you are currently watching. If you do join the show, please mute the watch page so you don't cause a whole bunch of feedback. If you'd like to support the show, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. May as well do a few shout outs to those of you who have joined us in chat. Flat Earth Christian Truthers, good to have you here. Nathan Oakley's Dresser, good to have you here. Blue Sky Sailing, good to have you here. Juan Carlos, thank you for being here. Good to see you, my friend. Roger MC says hello. Hello to you too. Critical Thinking Always says liked and shared. Much obliged. Really appreciate it. And that's pretty much it. I will periodically come in and say hello to the chatters in the chat room until we're joined from a few guests, and then I tend to just start saying hello actually in the chat while I monitor the show. So, as I say, we may have a prolonged pause while we wait for our first guest. John Boyce says, hey Nathan. Hey John. If one of you in the live chat could actually just click on the link in the info box just to check it does work okay. I'm pretty sure it does. Yesterday there was a slight glitch with it in the first part of the show. I think we had a guest join just for a moment just to check that it worked. Have you put the link in the chat and not the info box? No, it's the same issue occurred. I'll have a quick look. Yeah, had the same glitch as yesterday. Thank you for that, Skyfly Bry. Much obliged. So the link didn't appear, although I did put it in there. I tend to put it immediately into the live chat. That's the first thing I do. So in the early parts of these shows, if you did want to join, just scroll up to the top of the chat and the most recent link, today's, will be in the top of the chat feed. And then, yeah, if it glitches out, I'll just check it periodically every show from now on, because that's the second time it's happened where it's vanished after I've pasted it. But yes, the link is now in the info box below. I've double checked on my iPad and it is definitely there, along with it at the top of the chat feed. So if you did want to join the show, the link is available to join. Please don't swear. Good morning to you too, Raised by Gypsies. Good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, Nick L. And Jonathan Roberts. Good to see you. Steve Anthony, once again, thanks for helping out. Skyfire Blind, much obliged. Ron Burgundy, good to see you. Oh, we got Jonathan Roberts, I believe. I can tell from just his dulcet tones. Am I right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, Jonathan. How you doing?
Hey, I'll just plug my headphones in. 2 secs.
No problem. Flatlander, good to see you. Globe Thrusters says hello. Hello to you too. While he's popping his headphones in, it gives me a chance to bring up my mixing desk so I can level you up, Robert. Jonathan, I should say. How's it sounding in the chat? All sounding okay? Truth Seeker, good to see you. As we must focus on horizon observations, which suggest we are on something infinite. There is no evidence for domes or ice walls. Sorry, Jonathan, I'm reading out the chat. You go ahead.
No, mate, no, continue. I've just watched Jeranism's curvature test latest update and can't wait for the results of it. It's,
cool.
Have you seen the video that he just did about it?
Nope.
No, it's very good because to begin with, he doesn't just, he's not talking just about the test. he's talking about, you know, the doers and the people that don't. Got a term in America. Obviously, we don't have it over here, but he said a Monday morning quarterback. Basic. Have you heard that expression before?
Monday morning quarterback. It does ring a bell, very
Right.
vaguely. It means it
Well,
means something bad, doesn't it?
well, it means basically. He said, you know, people who are deeply into sports. He said, not everybody hates a Monday morning quarterback because you've got Friday, everybody's at work, and then, you know, they can't wait for the weekend, so they go and watch their sports. So Saturday, that's what they're doing, and then Sunday, they're talking about the sports, and then dependent on whether their team loses or wins, stood round the water cooler and you know, moaning and whinging about who's won and who hasn't. He said everybody hates a Monday morning quarterback. I thought that was quite a good expression. I like that. But
I see.
the curvature test is. I know it's only 3.5 miles, but the I don't know. I haven't put it into the Metabunk Earth Curve calculator, but I think he said there's something around. If it's at 15 feet, then it will mean that the once it shoots through, what he's doing is, just for the viewers who haven't seen it, he's instead of where Rowbotham actually, you know, had waders on, got in the water, and you know, he had somebody row the other end, and then the next time that he did the test, after the chap took him to court, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, what he did next was, his next test was to use the Bedford level again, and he actually got in the water and got sort of some how can I explain it, rings on a pole, if you like, and put them 8 inches above the water, and, you know, put them, I think it was, they had a 25-foot distance between each one, and he put lots of them all the way down the Bedford level, and then, you know, put his telescope, and he could see through all the eye, you know, all the holes, a bit like, you know, just imagine a piece of metal, a very thin piece of metal stuck into the base of the canal. And yeah, Rowbotham's results, as with all, not all, a lot of Rowbotham's results, you know, proved that the world was indeed a flat, and that water most definitely was. So Jeranism is proposing to, rather than into the water, and then have, uh, I'm not being rude and calling people globetards or anything like that. Let's just say trick believers, yes, heliocentric believers would have said, well, you know, you've got to take into consideration refraction. And so what he's doing is have it in the water. He is putting some boards along it is actually a 10-mile straight, but they're only measuring for 3.5 miles. And what they've done is they've got a board the same, I'd say about 2.5 foot wide by, let's say, 6 foot tall, and making sure that they're absolutely level with a laser leveler, so that it's exactly the same with the water, which obviously is crucial, and then drilling a hole. He said around 6 inches, and he's going to have one of those boards to begin with, and then I don't know how far the distance is until the next one, but if it's 3.5 miles and there's only 3 boards, and he's spacing them equally out. I don't know what the distance is, but I'm sure people can sort of maybe picture that in their mind if that's made any sense. So if he shoots the laser through the first board and it goes through the second board, and then the third board doesn't have a hole on it, it will have a line on it where they hope that the laser will either be on one of these levels, like I said, either it'll be at 24, will mean that yes, indeed, the Earth. However, if it comes out at their calculated 15 feet, I believe, that we have got level water, as we all know. Anyway, it's quite obvious. I
Love
don't
it.
like this idea when people say, "Oh, well, it's not exactly level," when it's this meniscus business. Yes, okay, that may apply in a glass, but it certainly doesn't apply for an ocean. And yeah, I can't wait for the results of that. In my mind, obviously the Flat Earth Conference, the Flat Earth Convention. I love that. Everybody's presentations were perfect. It went off without a hitch there, which was marvelous. Journalism has said that he did expect that there may have been some people just came and shouted out or whatever, but who's going to come in and pay all that money for a ticket just to come along and troll everybody? Imagine the amount of flack they'd get. I certainly wouldn't want to go in a room with. I think they said that there was, gosh, is it 400 people came, or was it more? I don't know. Have you heard any figures?
I thought it was 500.
500, right? Okay. Well, that's absolutely superb. And yeah, I can't wait for the one in the UK, which I'm sure you'll be involved with. Is that the case?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, I've been plugging it. I haven't been asked to be a speaker.
Are going to have taken images, and they've edited it so that it looks completely wacky, and that we're all crazy and nuts. However, there was a few, I think, Vice Media, they haven't yet let it hasn't come out on the internet yet. So that'll be interesting to see what they say, because from what Mark Sargent has said, that they seem to be quite on board with things, and he said the longer that they were there, the more interested they became in the whole situation. But yeah, I mean, it got on lots of news channels, as I'm sure you're aware. It got on the BBC. We had Radio 5 Live. David Weiss from Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, he was on UK Chat Live Radio, something like that, but one of these, chat stations. And they were, well, they were awful to him. The chat kept asking questions, but then wouldn't let David give him the answer, and try. But there was another bloke that was sort of, one was playing bad cop and one was playing goodish cop, if you like. I'm sure they've both been told prior to the phone call and it airing, right, you've got to, make this look as stupid as they possibly think. I mean, but the cognitive dissonance with this presenter was awful, and he was very rude. However, we had lots of positive. I've seen quite a few of the other broadcasts that have come out from the news. I think ABC, the BBC covered it. Like I said, they did it on radio. I don't know whether they covered it on any visual news, but yeah, by all sounds of it, it all went rather well, and it's just about getting the message out there. And the this is what we need. We need this. Everybody says that publicity, still publicity at the end of the day. So, yeah, very, very, very happy, very pleased for everyone, and glad it went without a hitch. I'm sure you've watched some of the different people that came up. Have you? Sure you have, Nathan.
Yeah, I watched it being live streamed. There was a few people that were actually doing it from their phones as well, so I was lucky enough to see some of those streams.
Oh, you saw it live, did you?
Yeah, some of them. I mean, obviously it's quite shaky, YouTube footage, but it was nice enough to get an idea of what was going on and the kind of people who were there. And Martin and myself and Zoe Scribner were also lucky enough to sort of get behind the scenes from Patricia. So she was on Skype calls with us quite frequently, and literally we were having some conversations with some of the people who were there. It was really, really quite nice.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, sorry, wasn't just David, sorry, it was David. I think then I'm talking about on the UK chat radio, Martin Leakey was on, and I can't remember the third person. But yeah, these 15 minutes of well, not 15 minutes, but probably 1 let's just say that. But yeah, it's people are certainly starting to open up to the idea. I mean, I love watching John Smith Global Eye and the street activism that people are doing, bringing attention to NASA and all the other space agencies, which all are connected and are in our best interests and doing bugger all, basically, just trying to it's just another way of them to keep hammering away and at their heliocentric model. Completely believe that I don't want to say you've got them, but they have done this. If sorry, they have done this, which I strongly believe that they have pulled this illusion over us. They've done it in a very clever manner. I mean, stick people on a spinning ball flying through space, and then say, "Wow, you can't get off it." So, and we've been all around it, and Google Earth shows you this, and there you go. That's it. Construct. It all works. However, when you come to reality, you start to get a lot of yeah. Family Fortune says no. Yeah. What a great idea that they had in speech marks there to try and control us. And yes, it is going to take. I mean, we are a minority. However, my stepmom said to me the other day, she said, what are you going to do regarding all this? Are you going to keep on with it? How long is it going to go on for? And I said, the problem is, opposed to any other conspiracy, which, let's say just pick JFK, for instance, where you can look at all the information, and, at the end of the day, the man was dead. And she sort of would say, well, then you don't need to really know the ins and outs. And spending all your time on one conspiracy ends up with, you sort of end up going round in circles, and then it becomes quite easy to put them down. You think you know the truth, and I only put them down when I'm satisfied that I have enough evidence to back up my theory. I like 9/11, for instance. That was just that is so simple to work out. Is absolutely beyond me. But I said to her that the difference is, as opposed to with all these other conspiracies, you can put them down and they don't actually really affect your day-to-day life. This is very different because you are always on the earth. We are here and it is always beneath our feet. So if there is something nefarious going on, then I want to know about it. And I said to her, I will be there for as long as it takes. And she just, she's got heavy cognitive dissonance. It's very, it's not a subject I can talk about. I think I went about it the wrong way when I first got involved. First, changed my belief and woke up, and did the terrible mistake of being excited and oh gosh, bringing it up at the dinner table. Guys, listen, there's something that I just need to tell you about. You've got to please make a promise for me first, which is very hard because you don't know what I'm going to say. But please don't, sort of ridicule me or anything. And they said, okay, what is it? And I said, well, have you heard about what's being talked about on the internet? Well, we don't use YouTube, unless it suits them. It's very, I hate the hypocritical element of, don't use the internet, demonizing YouTube. Well, YouTube wasn't about, I wouldn't have been able to fix my hi-fi at the weekend, or getting ideas. So when people say that YouTube is a useless tool and you've got to watch out, well, that is the same in, and it's like going to the newspaper stand and buying the rag newspaper, or buying, now they're all the same, but that was a bad analogy. So I think I've lost my train of thought there.
It's all good.
Yeah, no, sorry, I brought I brought it up at the dinner table. So I said, right, you haven't seen it. So I said, but there's a movement starting, and it's about the shape of the Earth. And they were like, yes, yes. What do you mean the shape of the Earth? I thought, oh dear, I've gone in too fast here, but I could. There's nothing else I could say, so I turned around and said, "Well, yep, I actually believe the Earth is not rotating. We are on a level plane. The dimensions I am not aware of, and my flat. What do you mean flat? That's completely impossible. I've been in an aeroplane and I've flown around the world. Or well, all you need to do to find out if the Earth is curved is get up in a plane." I said, well, "I challenge you then, when you next go on holiday, please take the window and explain to me why the horizon is always at eye level, regardless of what height you are at. And please note that your plane flies up. It gets to cruising altitude along in a dead straight pan level." And I said to him that, please, because they were going on holiday, and I said, "Look, will you?" This was before people had come up with the idea of the bubble app, where you have to self-calibrate it because it doesn't know down, because it's not working off gravity through the MIMS accelerometer. I think that's the right terminology. And he said, well, yeah, so he took some pictures and came back, and I said, "Look, you were because they even ram it in your face when you're actually on the plane." My dad had took a video with his iPhone of the screen in front of the chair, showing you the path of where your plane's going to go, and it's going to be going around the ball, or from one point they were going from Portugal to Portugal to the UK. So there's quite a lot of curvature there, and yeah, I mean, if you were in a tiny little Cessna or something, tottering along at, I don't know, 100 knots, not miles per hour, because they use aeronautical knots, you wouldn't really be able to detect the curvature, if there was any, which there isn't. But when you're flying at 550 odd miles an hour, the plane would certainly have to be dipping its nose, so to speak, and you would, without a doubt, you would feel that I can't say without a doubt, really, because in fairness, have I gone up and done it myself? No. So, but I trust what my father told me. And when he came back, he said to me, actually, he said, I had a look at the screen in front of me, and it gave him the option of the nose cam on the front of the plane with kitchens. So when they were up at 38,000 feet, had completely dead flat horizon. However, then when you switch to the tail camera of it, it had a fisheye. That was a really good sort of wake up for him to sort of see where I was coming from, because a lot of the time when I will talk, as I'm I can talk as I'm sat here talking just really to myself here, but he will, or lots of, and I'm sure lots of people have this when they try and talk to a family member about it, and that family member isn't particularly interested. They will do what I call the yes merchant and just, yeah, okay, isn't really, but they're not really interested at all. They haven't got a clue, and it's really quite an insult to your intelligence. So for him to actually see what I was saying with my own eyes, with his own eyes, sorry, um, was put it this way: he still believes that we live on a globe. That the plane still not high enough. So and the horizon rising always to your eye level is he couldn't explain that. But he said, he said, if you want to find out this information and get it correct, why don't you go to the library rather than looking on the internet at this nonsense, and where people could be fooling you to make money. Oh, because he's a flat earther, is trying to be on YouTube to make money, which is not the case. It's not a subject to be picked to try and make money out of. Um, if somebody wanted to make money, they could start doing something regarding, I don't know, in fingernails, for instance, and get more hits. It's absolutely ludicrous. We get these people like Cutie Pie or whatever, and oh god, what people are watching and what they're interested in is just, I mean, spirit crushing bull, yeah, BS. Nearly swore there, so I'd have got a strike there. But yeah, so when he came back, so he still believes that we live on a globe, but he says these questions will be answered, and go to the library and get a book. And I said, Dad, I said, that's the whole problem. I said, this is the granddaddy of all deception. You know, they're not going to stick in mathematical books. A different. That's what got us in the mess in the first place. Really, is so I said to him, my only tool, Dad, is to go out and experience it for myself, or trust in a family member, and I'm just trying every single method that I can to try and wake them up. My dad's really ill. He's got just been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and they also found some cancer. So, he may not have to live, but I would like to, because I'm sure if somebody else asked him, one of the other family members, what do you think about Jonathan and all this flat Earth business? I think he'd probably say, oh well, I don't tell him, but I actually think he's completely off his rocker, and he's just so indoctrinated from watching these YouTube videos where people are trying to make money. It's all nonsense, and I don't want him to go to his grave thinking that his son had absolutely lost the plot. But this is where tests come in. Empirical evidence is what we need, and launching balloons is one thing. However, the heliocentric believers out there will tell us that that's not, there's too many variables, and it's not an accurate enough test, and just you know, all they've got now really is pictures and being keyboard warriors, really. Because I don't see anybody coming on to Beyond the Imaginary Curve or coming on to Globebusters to try and challenge this. I was asked at the meeting, sorry, at the convention, somebody stood up in the audience on when they had the Q&A section and said, why do you think that there hasn't been any people come forward who are, you know, astrophysicists or, you know, university PhDs in whatever it may be, physics or whatever, coming along and challenging things to, you know, shut us all up? And he turned around and he said, actually, what makes you think that we don't have any people? He said, we do, but they have chose to remain anonymous because of their job and what impact it would have. So, you know, it's a tricky situation. I mean, yeah, people who have got a lot invested in the globe, you know, if it's their bread and butter, say they're an airline pilot, you know, they're not going to turn around and, you know, lose their job because they've said, oh, well, hold on a minute, we've worked out that this, you know, the artificial horizon levels out, and they're always taught to rely on their um, displays and outputs, but people will tell us that, you know, Schuler tuning is what keeps the plane fixed to the gravitational force of the core of the Earth, pulling everything to the center from the outside. And, you know, if that was the case, then the planes would not be able to fly without gaining lots of altitude. You know, the old flat earthers, I love this one that, you know, we turn around and we say, well, you know, the plane would gain altitude and eventually it would sort of be flying out into space. So but that doesn't happen. However, it doesn't stop the globe heat believers banging on at us and saying we've got it all wrong.
Before you go on to the veins and airflow of Schuler tuning and things like that, I'm just going to do a quick link. Hopefully will entice somebody else to join. So if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to debate the shape of the Earth on this panel, there is a link in the info box below this video. With your watch page muted, so the page you are currently looking at, please mute that before clicking on the link in the info box to join the panel and debate the shape of the Earth live. If I could get it out in one breath. Whew. If you would, please also share the show on Skype, Facebook, and Twitter. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. And if you are ejected, please... Oh, we have been joined by Flat Earth Crush. Excellent timing. So thanks for being here.
Hey, Nathan, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, it's my official first live hangout, so bear with me.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. No, fair play. I just tend to ramble on, so it's nice to be joined by somebody. I take it your name, Flat Earth Crush, in two ways. So, yeah,
I chose
take
it.
it your... Go on, sorry.
I'm a Yankee flat earther. Yeah, I chose the name because
Oh, you are a flat earther.
Oh yes, definitely.
You are. Oh, superb. Yeah, sorry, you go on. You chose the name.
Because of the double entendre, I like multiple meanings. You could sort of swing it each way, but no, I'm a flat earther. I've been one for a couple years, and
Excellent.
Nathan, I wanted to thank you for hosting this platform and coming back with more debates. I know sometimes you look like you're gritting your teeth through it, but there's nothing like this out there right now. You're doing really good.
Thanks a million.
Yeah. Yeah, my thanks as well there, Nathan. Yeah, there's not a lot of, well, there aren't any other ones unless you want to go on ones where they're all shouting over each other and very civilized at all.
These do get
Yeah,
uncivilized
so,
occasionally. I mean, there are
sorry.
times that I will let the debate get rowdy, and I deliberately don't interject. And people in the chat will say, "Oh, why don't you shut them up?" It's like, well, because number one, the two people that are arguing with each other are trying to shut each other up, you know, and I want people to see that. So I don't, by what you've said, I just don't want the audience to think that I'm here to sort of protect them, because I'm not. You know, it's one step above what Andrea Sensei used to do. He used to say absolutely nothing. He just opened the Hangout, say nothing, let people join and argue it out amongst themselves. The problem with that is that with no moderation, the stuff it just went downhill very quickly into screaming matches and people muting each other. And you do have to do some moderation. But my purpose isn't necessarily to stop people from shouting at each other. You know, the only rule I've got is no swearing, because I think it's a good border to, when people take it too far, you can then say, you know, no swearing rather than you're getting angry. But, you know, if people do get angry and they're not swearing at each other, it tends to be the case I let them get on with it. But we've been joined by Curved Water, so hopefully there'll be some balance, as there's now a couple of flat earthers. I will stop. Hold on one sec. I will stop you guys quicker than I'll stop him, because there's 2 against 1 at the moment, so I'll be more inclined to defend Curved Water, just so you know.
Hi, Curved Water. Hi. What time is it over there where you are?
I'm looking at the 11 o'clock hour.
11 a.m. or p.m.?
AM.
AM.
Yep, still morning here.
Yeah. So, is it Flat Earth Crush?
That's it.
Yeah. What made you become a flat earther? What was the trigger for you?
Well, I had actually backed into it. I mean, I had been following the intelligent design debate pretty closely, and I had, as a layman, I had, you know, significant problems with the Big Bang cosmology and Darwinian evolution for a long time. And when I finally got some exposure to some flat Earth, you know, clues, was Mark Sargent, and then Dubé's 200 Proofs. But then, really, when I started reading the books from the guys in the mid 19th century, Robotham, Winship, Hickson, that's when it all started to gel, and it just I realized that, you know, there wasn't just these empty theories that didn't seem to satisfy all the evidentiary chains out there. There was actually a whole other paradigm way of looking at the world, in which things could be new again, things could be undiscovered. There were places to explore. And so I sort of fell into the whole romantic notion of it, hence Flat Earth Crush. I mean, I literally developed an emotional affinity.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's where I like the duality in the name. You know, when you first came on a minute, Flat Earth Crush. Does he want to crush the flat Earth, or has he got a crush on flat Earth? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now cool. You know. Now you know. How about you? What got you into it initially?
What got me into it? To be honest, I was watching Nathan's shows to begin with. Back in God, um, two 2 years ago. And water was the big one for me. I'd done lots of sailing as a child. My parents had a boat, and I was always up the top of the mast, sat in, like, you have to go up the mast, obviously, and if you want to change a sail or something like that, and you can sit on a perch. And I used to be at the top with a big pair of binoculars, and I'd say, how much of this, how much curve should there be? And it just always perplexed me why I could see things further off in the distance that I should not be able to see. I mean, elevation taken into account. Yeah, it was seeing things further away, even with refraction put into the equation. It still turned out impossible. So yeah, water for me was the big one, and also planes.
Oh yeah, planes are a big one.
I mean, people seem to have. I can't. I mean, you tell me if I've got this wrong. So let's say a plane starts off. Oh, we've been joined by somebody else. Hello, Grimes.
Good to have you here, Mr. Grimm. Good to see you.
Grims.
Hey, thanks.
Mr. Good to see you.
Hello, Grim.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, flights.
Hey,
I mean,
Jonathan.
let's say, hiya, how you
Jonathan,
doing?
excuse me, please. Sorry to interrupt, but before you move on to the
Yeah,
next
no.
point, can I ask you to clarify? Are you saying that you were contemplating all these issues of curvature and whatnot when you were a child out on the sailboat?
No, I wasn't. Not at all. No, all I'm
Okay.
saying is it fitted when the resurgence of flat Earth came up, 2.5 years ago. The first thing I thought of was, yeah, hold on a minute, that makes sense. When I was a kid, I can remember seeing things off in the distance. So no, I'm not saying I was a flat earther when I was a kid. Mystified as to why we saw things off in the distance, sometimes on a superb day,
Fair enough.
see a lot further than what you should be able to.
Okay.
So
Cool.
does that answer your question?
Yep. Yep. What's that?
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Curbed Water, can I ask you a question?
I'm up for it. Yeah.
Just aside from the whole shape of the Earth debate itself, you don't have any hangups over the alleged motions that heliocentrism dictates we must be moving?
No.
Okay, so
Should I?
well, I think you should.
Okay.
I think
Why?
that well, lots of reasons. Let's start with have you heard of this notion called curvature velocity?
Angular velocity?
No, it's a flat Earth thing. Like we often talk about how fast the Earth is spinning, its rotational velocity or its orbital velocity, but this notion of curvature velocity, we're also paying attention, some of us, over how fast we must be going up over a curve. Continuing.
Do you have anything to support this made-up term
Yeah.
that the flat earthers came up with? What are you talking about?
No, it's not a made-up term. I mean, if the Earth is a sphere, there's curvature, no?
Okay, but curvature velocity sounds like something that fell out of somebody's backside. What are you talking about? Explain how it works, please.
Okay, well, we are at the equator. We have a 1,040 mile per hour, roughly agreed upon rotational velocity, correct?
Okay. Yeah, that's what the model says, sure.
Okay, so it's pretty easy for any one of us to then figure out, well, that's about 1,500 feet a second. And you can then calculate how much curb you're covering in that 1,500 feet. I mean, you're moving 1,500 feet a second.
Okay.
And when you do that,
All right. Before you go on, let me ask you very quickly
sure.
and succinctly, what is the acceleration at the equator due to this?
What is the acceleration due to the rotational velocity or the curvature velocity?
Due to the angular velocity.
Well, you're talking about angular velocity. That's something separate.
Well, since curvature velocity is an undefined term, I have a
Zero.
feeling that it's
I'll
going to
just
come out to
answer
be the
zero.
same thing in some kind of way, what you're trying to put forth there with curvature velocity.
How fast we are going over the alleged curve in our
There is no
rotational
alleged
spin.
curve to go over, though. See, you're wrong off the bat there. There is no curve to go over. You are at a point on the Earth and you are rotating with the Earth. You're not going up over any curve. There is an acceleration due to the departure from a straight line.
Yeah, it's not over a
However,
curve, but you're still negotiating the curve. You're still going around the curve.
okay, and the force that is generated by this departure from the straight line, the acceleration is, fill in the blank, please, at the equator.
The acceleration.
If you're going to assert that we should sense this, that we should feel this, that we should notice this, don't you?
I didn't assert that.
Don't you think you should have an idea of how much force that would be in the model that you're trying to disprove? Is it even reasonable to assert that we should feel it, and that I don't feel it spinning is in any way sane or rational?
No, you're putting words in my mouth. I didn't assert that we should feel it. I simply wanted to know if you were familiar with the term and if you found it acceptable that we were indeed negotiating a curve at that speed.
I think I understand what you're getting at, but to what end?
Sorry, just while you're in a mild agreement, sorry to interrupt, we've been joined by Positor XX. I don't know if you can just say a quick hello, that'd be brilliant.
What I'm getting at is...
I think Nathan's trying to get Positor XX to speak in the Hangout. Can we allow that?
Oh, my apologies.
Oh, hi, it's me. It's wrong account. Hang on.
Oh, it's Negator. Good to have you here.
Are you sure? It sounds like Negator.
Let's see if I'm wrong.
I know it is. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Negator.
Okay, so you guys are slightly outnumbering the flat earthers now, just so you know. Good to have you anyway, Nick.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I don't mind being outnumbered.
It's okay.
May I continue, or?
Yeah, that just gives your side more time to talk. See, you only have to split time with one other
We're
person.
all on the same side. Please.
We have to split. Right.
Please do.
Finish. So carry on, Crush.
All right. Well, I'm simply saying that if we agree on how fast we're rotating, then, and we agree on what the size of the Earth is, and we're not going over a curve, but we are going around a curve at a predictable speed.
Okay.
And we're talking about 135 miles per hour around a curve, and I was interested if you had gotten comfortable with those ideas.
What speed? You said 135 miles an hour.
Yeah, 136 miles an hour. I have, I'm not like making these numbers up.
Well, where do you get 136 miles an hour? What are you talking about? You've left the equator, obviously. Where are we now at 136 miles?
No. See, that's the thing. I'm still at the equator. That's based off the 1,040 miles per hour figure. I just broke that down to how much curb will I encounter in that hour. And you end up with 720,000 feet per hour, which is about 130 6 miles per hour, which incidentally is also 200 feet per second. And I was just
All right.
curious if any of you thought
Okay.
trillions of tons of ocean water were
Question.
actually